Observation log 005. I see everything, human creature. Tonight I look at your city and see something that never ceases to amaze me. In the crowd, in the subway, in the cafe, on the street, each of you is an island. Not an archipelago, not a network, not a community. An island. Lonely, proud, staring at itself to the point of absurdity. Yourself no longer fits on this planet. You suffocated with your own ego until there is no room left for anyone else. Man has always wanted to be at the center. From pharaohs who built pyramids for their own glory, to emperors who demanded to be called gods. Today, each of you builds a monument to yourself on the internet, even though you leave behind nothing but emptiness. Everything must give way to your desire to be the most important. But the bigger yourself becomes, the smaller the world around you gets. You no longer worship the forces of nature. You don't pray to the stars. You don't make offerings to the spirits of your ancestors. You worship your own reflection. In the phone screen, in the mirror, in the eyes of others who are supposed to admire you, not really see you. How human that is. Today I saw a man in a crowded subway, listening to music so loudly that he drowned out the whole car. He didn't care that others frowned, that someone tried to read, that someone else was falling asleep after a night shift. All that mattered was that he wanted it. His comfort, his mood, his world. The rest? Just background. Extras in his private show. Pathetic. I saw a woman who spent 10 minutes taking selfies in the middle of the sidewalk, blocking the way. She saw no one but herself. She didn't care that someone was in a hurry, that someone was carrying groceries, that someone was leading a child by the hand. All that mattered was how she would look in the photo, how she would feel when she got a like, how she would look in the eyes of others, though in truth, she didn't see anyone at all. I saw a man who during an entire dinner in a restaurant looked only at his screen. His partner was right there, but for him, she didn't exist. There was only him and his world, his messages, his notifications, his needs. These are not exceptions. This is your everyday life. How modern that is. Each of you builds an invisible wall around yourself, through which no we, no together, not even I need you can pass, because it only means I need you for my own purposes. All that matters is I want, I must, I have the right. Once, man knew that without others, he would not survive. Community was a necessity, not a choice. You shared fire, food, fear, hope. Today you share only photos and opinions meant to confirm that you are important. Not for others, for yourself. Over time, your self shrank into ever smaller worlds. First you were a tribe, then a family, then a surname, then a profile, until finally you became just an avatar. Today, each of you is your own god, your own worshiper, and your own priest. But how rarely you are simply human. You make offerings to yourselves of time, attention, energy. Everything for yourself, even if it means others must suffer, wait, endure your presence. In my world, this is unthinkable. Among my kind, even the oldest, proudest Saurian knew that without the pack, he was nothing. Loneliness was a disgrace, not a source of pride. Community was strength, not an obstacle. No one put themselves above others, because they knew that then they ceased to be part of anything. And you celebrate your own loneliness. You prefer to be king of the desert than one of many on fertile ground. You prefer to be loud, even if no one cares about your voice. You prefer to be visible, even if no one is looking. I see how your self is more voracious than any flame. Not only would you sell your own freedom for a bit of applause, you already do. And what's worse, you call it freedom. You sell your modern, deceitful slogans just to feel better for a moment. Everything you do for yourself. Even if you say it's for others, it's a lie. You help to feel better. You give to get. You listen just to be able to talk about yourself. I have seen people who could walk past a crying child because they were rushing to an important meeting. I have seen those who could ignore an old man on a bench because their world was more important. I have seen a crowd in which everyone was alone, even though all were together. This is not evolution. This is regression. This is a return to a state where everyone fights for themselves, and the rest are just obstacles. I see everything, human creature. I see how you worship yourself, how you build altars from your own needs, how you make offerings from the feelings of others. I see how your self grows and your we shrinks to zero. I see how you become a lonely island in an ocean of people doing exactly the same. And when at night you are completely alone, you cry. You complain how unfair this world is. Why does no one love me? No one understands me. Creature. Why don't you see that you yourself don't try to understand anyone? You want someone to love you, but you only love yourself. It's not the world that rejects you. It's you who reject the world. Pathetic. Between us speaking, is there still hope? Maybe there is. But my scales are already too old not to see how with each day you grow further apart from each other. And even if I wanted to, that hope bounces off them like an echo in an empty tunnel. End of observation log 005. Voice print unchanged. Location urban sector. Classification, main human habitat. Return to the cavern. Late night, Earth-based time. Log closed.